Well, I think CNG has something like 650 retail store locations. What sort of network deployment solutions have you implemented, or maybe you're thinking about implementing to address the unique technology changes or challenges posed by distributed network?
Right. Yeah. So the store part is really under that check and go and allied cash. That's where those 650 stores sit. So it's really more in our lending practice. And we went with, before I even got here, they already had a great strategy in motion, and literally are just finishing it up as we speak this month to get all 150 stores, or 650 stores under Cisco's SD-WAN technology. And so what that does, it allows us to interconnect all of our stores with our data center we have in our central location, as well as in our cloud network. So now we have that connectivity solved. And then within the store, we can have one pane of glass for monitoring everything that's going on. We've got Ethernet, we've got Wi-Fi, and we've got cellular backup. So it's actually made it so that it's almost impossible for us to lose connectivity to a store now. And again, from a 24/7 monitoring, we can watch it. We've got a third party that we work with that is a managed service that's always watching out. So we have almost literally eliminated any of the network issues we used to have where you lose a store because it was just so complicated. It wasn't built right. This is built for the long term. Literally, the only way we lose stores now is if power goes out, or the invariable someone gets the jackhammer and cuts a line somewhere between here and there that we can't control. But even with that, we've got the cellular, right? So we at least avoid that. So it's pretty much, if we lose power, is about the only way we can't keep the store open.
We've been having very similar conversations with our retail customers about that exact same thing. So it sounds like you guys are maybe ahead of the game a little bit on that. So that's great.
Yeah. My partner that runs the retail line of business loves it. I mean, it's just, I always say the loudest applause is silence when you run a technology organization. And he is, I don't hear from him about those kind of things anymore. We're not talking about, hey, Chris, I need you to fix this. Why doesn't that work? It's more about, hey, Chris, what are you doing to give me the next product, the next service, which is where you want to be, right?
So you mean nobody calls you to tell you what a great job you're doing?
Yeah, it doesn't happen. Doesn't happen too often. Yeah. But that's all right. That's all right.
So if you could maybe talk a little bit about how you've been able to use technology to streamline the consumer transaction process, and maybe even how you've been able to increase employee efficiency.
Yeah, so I'll answer this maybe a little different way. So there's always the classic buy versus build versus partner. And so we're trying to take the right approach depending on what the situation is, right? So one of the things that, again, was already in motion when I was here was we had a lot of, on the access side, in the lending space, we had 2 or 3 different ways we serve either the retail stores or online lending and those kind of things, all homegrown, developed over time at different points in time. And when they looked at it, and which I totally agree with, is the servicing aspect of lending is pretty commoditized now. I mean, decades worth of work done by third parties to create loan servicing system, consumer loan servicing system. So we already went down the road to go to a software as a service, a SaaS provider that we're in the process of implementing. We just went live with them this month. And then the second half of the year is going to be continuing to migrate and move all of our different applications and existing loans over to that. So in that case, that's a buy, right? We should just buy it. They're going to take care of compliance. It's going to run every night. Batch jobs are going to work. Real time is going to work, and we're done. So we're going to focus more on what do we do on the front end? Like, how do we get through? The secret sauce is more in the customer experience you build and the credit underwriting you do. Probably in our space, because of the nature of the credit situation with most of our customers, our secret sauce is actually spent more in how do we figure out ways to approve people, manage the risk of non-payment and everything in a whole different way than any bank or credit union have been in the past. So there's a lot we do there. So it's not necessarily so that's part of it. And then, when I talk about what we do in Tempo and Smart Pay, that's almost a complete e-commerce play. There is some that we're doing that's in store. So there'll be some of our clients that are actually in store, like a tire store or different things like that. But we build it all more with an e-commerce frame of mind, that it just so happens they're a store doing this, but it could be done anywhere 24/7. So there's a lot of different ways we attack it. As far as how we continue to improve transaction processing, increase efficiency, all that, it's an iterative process. Our work's never done, right? So every 2 weeks, what's the next group of things? How do we prioritize it? A lot of what we had to do to improve efficiency was actually improve process on how we take in new work and not try to be all things to everybody.
Right.
We talk a lot around here about how do we just focus on the critical few projects or major initiatives that are going to drive the most value. Those are the big rocks. And then you sprinkle in the pebbles of other little things that need to get done along the way. So that's been our approach.